Hi, I'm going to show you how to make a PSA using Reaper. So before you use Reaper to make a PSA, you have to write a script for your PSA. And your script has to have a lot of information about the event. Not a lot, just the important parts. For example, what is the event? Where is the event? When is the event? Who's putting on the event and who can you contact to learn more about the event? And it's got to have a station ID. So you write a script and then you record yourself saying what's in the script. Shouldn't be a long script. These are just 30-second PSAs. So anyway, let's start recording. We already wrote our script, hypothetically. So we go up here and we make sure our audio settings are correct. These settings work for me, but this thing right here, this drop down, is probably going to be totally different on every computer, and the only way you're going to know which one is right to use is through experimentation. Now, input device, click on the one that looks like it's your microphone. I know this one's my microphone. For output device, put on whichever one looks like it's your headphones or speakers, whatever you want to listen to. And you can just experiment to figure out which of these are the right one you need to use. Sometimes it'll just be all in the correct settings by default. Don't worry about these. 2 channels, input and output, sample, 44.1 buffers. Don't really change that. That's just might make your audio laggy. Just leave it the way it is. Alright, so our audio is set up. Now we have to start recording. So we do that. We have to make a new track. We can do that by hitting Control T. And look at that. That's a new track. And we can zoom in with the page up and down keys, or Control and the scroll wheel. So let's make sure that this is the right thing. So my microphone is set up to the left channel. That's just the way my microphone is. If yours is not, you might have to go in here and say input right or input stereo. Maybe you have a stereo microphone. Mine's mono, and usually if you have a mono microphone, it'll be in the left channel by default. And now let's start talking. But wait, we have to arm this track first. And you'll notice there's an echo. I just turned off that echo by clicking on this icon twice so I don't have to hear myself. So now when you arm this track, when you press the record button or when you hit Control R, which is what the cool people do, it will start recording audio into the computer, and then you can hit spacebar to stop recording. So then it says, do you want to save or delete these files? And if you want to keep it, you'll hit save. Otherwise, you hit delete. And that's what I'm going to do because I didn't say anything related to the PSA just then. So now we're going to record our PSA. So let's say there's an event happening tomorrow at this address. You can contact the people making this event at website.com or at the number 123. So that's like a whole PSA. Just kidding, it's not. We have to say the station ID. You're listening to WHUS Stores. And so now that's probably a whole PSA. So that's all the words. This is a hypothetical. You probably wouldn't have an event that sounds exactly like this. Now we'll play it back to make sure it sounds good. So let's say there's an event happening tomorrow. We don't need to include the so let's say, obviously. We can just have the there's an event. Yeah, start there. So we can do that. We can either do that by moving the cursor, clicking here and hitting S and then deleting that, or we can drag this over here and that'll work too. And so we can move this around, move this track around. We can split it at any point by clicking S or probably hitting it on the keyboard. And we can also do fade in and out by moving your mouse until it looks like that and dragging. So that's some basic editing, and you want to move these close. Also, this snaps to a grid by default, so to make it not do that, hold Shift and then move it around, and that way it doesn't snap to a grid. If you let go of Shift, it'll snap to the grid again. And usually you don't want that. We're not making music, we're making PSAs. And we don't want too much dead air here, so I'll shorten this and I'll move that there. Let's hear how that sounds. 2, 3. You're listening to WHUS Stores. That sounded kind of bad. There is a little click here. I don't know if you can hear that in the video, but we can fix that by having a fade here. Just clicking fade in and fade out on both of these tracks. Or if we don't want to do that, we can crossfade, and we do that by dragging this track into the other. 3. You're listening. No more click there. Perfect. So yeah, that's how you do crossfades, which are very useful. But there's a problem with this audio, and that is it is too loud. A lot of the parts vent at website. Let me try to find one. Tomorrow. It's kind of like peaking. See, you shouldn't have audio going all the way to the edges. Look, see that red thing there? I just said that kind of loud, and so it made that red thing, and that means it's clipping, and that means it's going to sound bad. So you want to adjust your levels, maybe on your microphone or just your talking levels, so that you don't see that red thing when you're recording. And you can just click on the red thing to make it go away, but that doesn't mean that the audio is good. It just means that you can record more audio and see if it's going to do it again. So let's try again. There's an event happening on tomorrow at 2:30 in the park. It's being hosted by these people who you can contact at website.com. That's WEBSITE.com. You're listening to WHUS Stores. So I like to repeat things like websites or phone numbers, or an email address even. If it's something that's not immediately obvious to everyone how you spell it, I usually say it and then spell it. Website, I think most people know how to spell, but that was an example. Make sure all of your words are really clear. That's the most important thing. So now let's hear this. Let's see if this is any good. There's an event happening. Oh, you might have heard. There was a little lip smacking there. We don't really need that. And it's easy to remove that. We can do that by just dragging this. I'm holding shift again. And then moving that. There's an event happening on tomorrow at 2:30 in the park. It's being Now, you notice this is really spaced out, and it doesn't have to be spaced out, but you can record it spaced out and then shove it all together later by using splits. See, there's a bunch of dead air here. Well, not really dead air. It's not even a second, but it's kind of just space that people don't want to hear. So you can use the S button and drag the two clips together. The park. It's being hosted by... Yeah, just make sure they're not too close. It's being hosted... That sounds bad. And make sure it's not too far. The park. It's being... Obviously, so, just kind of experiment. Keep moving it around until it, makes sense. And usually I make PSAs that are either 30 seconds long exactly or a minute long exactly. And usually I do that by recording a long one and cutting the spaces out. Here I didn't record enough, so let's just pretend I did real quick. Let's see, where's 30 seconds? Here it is. It says right here 30 seconds, so I'm just going to pretend that the recording lasted that long. I stretched this audio out by holding Alt and doing that, but you probably won't need to do that when you're working. So here, look, it's exactly 30 seconds. Isn't that great? And you want to keep it that way. So this is how it sounds. There's an event. Okay, cool. And maybe it sounds bad. If you're talking into your microphone good and you have a decent microphone, it'll probably sound fine. But you might want to do things to the audio that'll make it sound better.